And we're back with Animal Kingdom, and this opening bit is a relic of the early goofing off vlog format that the show was going to take, as you can tell. And I mostly left it in this episode to pad for time and to show off my friends. I realize Crocodile Hunter jokes are old and they're funnier when you're goofing off together than when you're putting them in a video, but once again, I needed to stretch for time because I had nothing for this one. I don't want to disparage Animal Kingdom because it is the most unique among other Disney parks. It is not obviously unique among Florida parks because Busch Gardens exists, but it is. There's no other Disney park, at least in the US, that tries to do what it tries to do. And your mileage may vary on how valuable that is, what it tries to do, but it was at least an interesting idea that fell a bit short of its potential, certainly because they went so over budget with the animals that they forgot things like attractions. And that is what made this episode the hardest to write, because I just don't have that much to say about animals. I like animals. Animals are great, but I don't have enough knowledge of animals to say anything interesting about them, and my ignorance of animals is not a particularly funny ignorance of animals, so I could get cool shots of animals and not really have much to say about them. I have more to say about the Star Wars Holiday Special than I have to say about the actual animals. That's only because the Holiday Special is one of my favorite riff tracks. So It's Tough to Be a Bug is the only attraction in Animal Kingdom, I think, that is directly cloned on both coasts. It's at California Adventure and it's in Animal Kingdom. There are other Animal Kingdom attractions that have sort of corresponding West Coast attractions, the most blatant being Dinosaur and Indiana Jones, which of course I talk about later in this video, but It's Tough to Be a Bug is the only one that exists actually as It's Tough to Be a Bug on both coasts. And yes, I know that it's not actually Kevin Spacey in It's Tough to Be a Bug. I believe it's actually Andrew Stanton doing Hopper's voice. He's doubled for a couple of characters, because I know he's doubled for Ham at least once or twice. And yeah, Andrew Stanton, director and voice mimic to a point. But yeah, the safari is much cooler to experience than it is to talk about in a video. And I talk about here about the confusing poacher subplot and how there's just that one animatronic elephant at the end. And I forgot to use any clips from Fierce Creatures, a movie where there's actually a plot point about sullying a zoo with a fake animatronic animal. That would have been the perfect opportunity for a lazy reference clip, but I forgot to. I forgot about. My mind wasn't on Fierce Creatures when I was making this video. But anyway, the next time I rode the safari after I was done with this video, they had removed even that part, so they were slowly but surely stripping away the fakeness altogether. And for all I know, they put some other fake subplot back in by now. I have no idea, because I have not been to Florida in a while, as I said. But it was just a normal, regular, real-life safari in Florida last time I went. And that's really all it needs to be. I mean, like I said, it doesn't give me a lot of material to talk about, but it does make it a unique and exciting attraction. Again, at least in a U.S. Disney park. And yeah, Rafiki's Planet Watch, even if I had gone, it wouldn't have given me much material. I would have had a lot more material had I seen the Festival of the Lion King before making this video, because, as I later discovered, that show is quite riffable, but still quite well done. But yeah, I had gone to Animal Kingdom exactly twice before making this video, because again, I was at the mercy of what my friends wanted to do when I was going to Florida, or rather when I was going to Disney World for my first couple of months in Florida, and my friends did not want to do Animal Kingdom as much as they wanted to do Magic Kingdom, Epcot, or Hollywood Studios. because again, Animal Kingdom may be the most unique park. I keep saying most unique. Unique doesn't need a qualifier. I fail grammar forever, or I fail vocabulary. I probably just failed it again. I am very tired. Yeah, these animal exhibits are cool. They're not really discussable. I'm really stretching for jokes or content to talk about here. Animal Kingdom may be a unique park, but it's not a park with a whole lot of variety. The cool things it has are really cool, and good for those things. And it is one of... It's probably the single most immersive U.S. Disney park. It is... I mean, obviously, aside from the train ride to Rafiki's Planet Watch, where you can sort of see backstage where the animals are kept, but it is totally immersive, like deep in the Florida jungle in a way that even Magic Kingdom isn't, where you really feel like you're in the middle of these exotic, desolate places in a way that obviously California couldn't accommodate for, and certainly Busch Gardens can't accommodate for. Animal Kingdom probably takes better advantage of its space than any other Disney park, despite the fact that it does not fill that space with e-tickets designed to entertain me personally.
I'm sorry, I need a second.
Stretching for jokes here, stretching for references, stretching for any sort of content, yeah.
Something a bit more exotic. Oh, there we go. The trail also lets you skip.
Again, I could get cool shots of animals, but I didn't have things to say about those animals. And of course, this was back when I had my less good camera, just a mini DV camera that used mini DV tapes because I was archaic in my, even in my digital age, I was archaic.
It's certainly no Splash Mountain, but it'll hit the spot on the hot.
River Rapid ride. Obviously, I wasn't about to take out my camera on the ride, but fortunately, there were places to get footage of the rafts.
At first, all I heard about this ride was
And Expedition Everest. The interesting difference between Expedition Everest and the Matterhorn, besides obviously the actual ride itself, which is very different. Expedition Everest, the whole plot is about the Yeti. The Matterhorn, the Yeti just sort of cameos, but Expedition Everest, like the whole queue, is setting up the mystery of the Yeti. Whereas it's possible to go on the Matterhorn and not even know there is a Yeti. And the Taylor Swift cameo. I'm actually glad Taylor Swift interrupted us to give me something to talk about in this episode. And originally I was just going to use some Taylor Swift song. I don't really know her library all that well, but I was aware of her hit, so I was just going to use some Taylor Swift song under when she shows up. But then between the time I shot it and the time I finished editing it, Alpocalypse came out, which had a Taylor Swift parody specifically about paparazzi. And the synergy was too good not to use for my stealth shots of the famous person who was getting in line in front of us. I have no problem with Taylor Swift, but I'm not exactly a fan of hers, unlike my siblings, and unlike Rafal, as you can clearly see in this segment. He was very, very excited. I think it was largely just excitement to see a famous person, and I think that encounter actually ignited his actual passion for Taylor Swift, because it was... before that, I never heard much from him about her, but then for the next couple of months after that, it was all Taylor Swift all the time. It did not just last this single day, as you can see in this montage.
Taylor Swift.
Again, a montage that fits a little better in the just goofing off version than the actual talking about the park version. I kind of violated my personal rule of addressing things that everybody who visits the park will experience. But I kind of had to make the exception because, you know, celebrity is important, and we should all worship at the altar of the people who get paid more than us. The Jurassic Park jokes are obvious.
Land is, of course, the home of Finding Nemo the musical.
I do like Finding Nemo the musical. I still think its placement is a little confusing, other than just that's where they had a theater to put it in. I don't love it necessarily. I still think
better than you would think.
the idea to make Finding Nemo a musical reeks of maybe not desperation, but it reeks of putting a product before putting the product before the art. There was a better way to word that I can't think of off the top of my head, but it sort of reeks of just corporate saying, "Hey, here's a thing we can do to sell," and less someone actually being artistically moved to put songs to Finding Nemo. But they did the best they made the most of the assignment, if that makes any sense. Which is more than can be said for Dino-Rama, which I get how its defenders say it's Disney doing a parody of a tourist trap, and I get that, and it does make sense narratively for a tourist trap to show up outside a dinosaur dig site, but in a county littered with tourist traps like that, it is especially the kind of tourist trap that bored Walt into making Disneyland. The Imagineers deserve better assignments. And again, Dinosaur, the ride, the Countdown to Extinction title is a better title for it, and it's a good ride, and I will acknowledge that being in the dark makes it a little more immersive than some parts of Indy where the cracks in the show buildings sort of start to be like, yeah, they ran out of decorating budget here, and here's just wallpaper. But it still is missing, like, that whole first turn in Indy where you turn into the big temple room and there's the bridge. You just see the vastness of the building you're in. You never get that in Dinosaur because it is pitch black. And I don't want to diminish the cool things in Dinosaur, but it's not worth losing Indy on that coast for Dinosaur. And from what I understand, they were at one point planning on building a clone of Indy in Hollywood Studios, but the heads at Animal Kingdom persuaded them against it because it was one of the very few interesting, unique things Animal Kingdom had before Everest was built. It was basically their big, thrilling e-ticket, and they didn't want to have another park pulling away Animal Kingdom by offering the better version of the same attraction. But of course now Animal Kingdom's getting Avatar Land, which I am excited to see despite my apathy towards Avatar. And, Universal can put the same exact ride in both parks in the form of Spider-Man and Transformers, so now they have very few excuses not to build Indy in Hollywood Studios other than budget. And I've heard rumors that they might be building Indy in Hollywood Studios, so I know they're planning a lot of overhauls for Hollywood Studios, and I can't say Hollywood Studios doesn't need some love. I'll talk about that when I talk about Hollywood Studios. This is about Animal Kingdom, which I'm excited for Avatar Land because it'll just have there be more to talk about and more to do at Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom, again, a good park, but just not enough variety. It is a great animal park. It is a great zoo with a couple of good rides. It's not quite a Disney theme park standard from a theme park perspective. It's up to Disney standard as a zoo, or as a not a zoo, as it were. But I still like it, but even after getting my own car, I still went to it fewer than any of the other three parks. Less often. I cannot talk today, which is ideal for doing a commentary, so now the soothing sounds of Simon and Garfunkel, and I will see you in the next video.